I was in Lake Geneva in Wisconsin recently. Lake Geneva is on a lake, a small town, population of around 8,000 people for most of the year, but in summer that swells because of tourists. But it's a small town. It's a small Midwest US town. And I'm really lucky and grateful when I was in Lake Geneva to have got to the Advanced Cycle Shop. And this is a bike shop that is really a cafe. And what's really interesting about this business is how they're very clever at how they're bringing in new shoppers to the business. So you could go past the shop in the morning, early in the morning, say 8 o'clock in the morning, and it's a coffee shop. It's very focused on being a coffee shop. But down the back, as you'll see in a moment, it's a full-on bike shop, repairs, setting up new bikes, showing people how to care for their bikes. And so it's these two businesses in one. And I think that's what's really clever about this business, what I found really appealing about this business. And I think today in 2022, it's really important that we in retail are bringing shoppers into our businesses for more than just one reason. Back in the day, we'd open our door as this business XYZ, and we would kind of do that one thing or be in that one category or that one niche really well. I think today, successful businesses are doing two or three things, attracting shoppers through different pathways to make their business more efficient and successful. So let's get into the Advanced Cycle Shop and have a look at it and see kind of why I felt this business was pretty exciting to get to see. This is the shop from the outside, and you can see coffee and bikes. It's really focused on being a coffee shop first, coffee, pastries, bicycle sales and repairs. It's a really appealing business when you walk past. And in fact, the only way I found this business was because I was looking for a coffee early in the morning when I was in Lake Geneva. So you have a look at the shop and you go through the front door, and on the left-hand side, there is this awesome notice board of community events. You've got, of course, the coffee, sugar and stirrers and things like that people are going to use. But really, this signboard here, and in fact, I got to the coffee shop 4 or 5 times through my visit, and this was a constantly changing community notice board, which was just fantastic to see. On the opposite side of that, you've got a range of products that are available, the kind of products that you would think cyclists would be interested in buying. But also you've got products that appeal to people who are looking to buy coffee. So if you look over in the corner here, you've got these takeaway bulk coffee containers, you've got mugs, you've got water bottles, all sorts of things. At the counter, you've got the bike theme, which is pretty cool. But really, it really is a cafe at heart, very much a cafe at heart. But they're still upselling products very easily to people who are there to buy coffee. So people who are there to buy coffee are being pitched cyclist-related items or items that they might buy for friends and family members who are cyclists too. The coffee counter is a pretty traditional coffee shop counter. You've got a few snacks that you can buy, as well as a whole bunch of coffees that you can order. And then down the other side, you've got a little cafe area, including what's out the front of the shop. But what's interesting is these maps here on the side, on the wall. These are all cycling maps around the area so that you can get to see areas that you could ride, have a coffee, and then go for a bike ride. Now, what's interesting is these maps are available. You can purchase them. So it shows the full bike ride, but you can purchase laminated versions of those maps, which I think is pretty cool. So you've got a whole bunch of different rides that you can do. This is obviously targeting people who are coming to Lake Geneva for the tourist season, which of course during summer, it is extremely busy during the tourist time. As you head towards the back of the shop, you start to get into the area of where they're selling their bikes and servicing their bikes. So you can see here, you've got a whole bunch of products sitting in boxes, and then down the back is the service counter. So you can see the sign, it says service center. It's fairly traditional from a bike shop perspective. So that's where we see the traditional bike shop, and at the front, it's the traditional coffee shop. And I think cyclists are going to feel very comfortable at the quality, the service, and the tools and materials that they have available there to care for bikes. They've got the traditional range of clothes, including streetwear that cyclists might want to wear, which I think is pretty cool as well. They're the laminated maps that I was mentioning, which I'm told sell pretty well. And you've got a bunch of stickers that people can buy who want to kind of represent with the brand and what it stands for. Some really nice and cool T-shirts, as well as just fun things for more the kind of hobby cyclist rather than the whole Lycra team. And they've got a whole bunch of these sorts of products around to make it pretty easy and appealing for people to buy them as gifts for Christmas and birthdays and things like that. They have bike wash, which is pretty cool for people who want to care for their bikes. And then they're using their window facing out onto the street to pitch the bikes that they happen to sell. So from out on the street, you've got the coffee shop pitch and you've got the bike pitch as well. But it's what interested me, I guess, a lot, and what drew me a lot to the shop, and what I think is very appealing about it is, as I walked past, I was drawn to it as a coffee shop. And I know that bike riders love good coffee. So I knew the coffee was going to be good, which it was. It was really awesome coffee. That's why I went back there 3 times. And so here we have this shop that presents as a coffee shop that's also doing bikes. But once you get into it, it's a bike shop or a cycle shop. And I think that's pretty cool because they're attracting people for the 2 different reasons. Remember, Lake Geneva's only got a population of 8,000. It's got a bunch of coffee shops in town. This one is offering a point of difference. And I think that's what's interesting. Of course, they're facing the traditional problems that we're all facing in retail today. And that at the front counter, you can see they have their employment application form literally sitting there for anybody who wants to come work for them. So they're really trying to make that appealing. As well as looking at the photos of the shop, I just want to take a moment and share with you some insights on their social media and on their website page. So let's go and have a look at their Facebook page first off. And so here we are, we're at the Avant Cycle Cafe Facebook page. Now, this Lake Geneva shop is one shop, and they literally this weekend past, they opened up a second shop as well. And so they're starting to promote that. But they're using this Facebook page to promote primarily events. You know, you've got the World Bicycle Day. They were engaged in a walk to end Alzheimer's, which I thought was pretty cool. Then they've got photos of crews that are riding and kind of using their shop as a base, which I think is pretty nice. Their new shop they're opening at LaGrange has selling ice cream. So of course they're pitching that. My point about their social media is it's a little, I guess, non-traditional for bike shops. And it's very much about being community engaged and connected. So I think it's well worth looking at because it's, again, providing a different reason for people to connect with their shop. And I think that, to me, that's really fascinating. So if you're going to have a look at Avant Cycle Cafe, you'll soon see this Facebook page that they've got running there. And it's pretty interesting to see how they've got it connected. So the other thing that I just wanted to show you is really quickly their website. So let me just connect into that. Here it is. And so they've got their bike shop, they've got the cafe listed. And so they've got information there about their coffee, which is critical for all of us who like a good coffee. We want to understand the history of the coffee. And then you can go and have a look at their bike shop, and they've got a sales section, a rental section, a riding route section, group rides that you can connect with, a whole bunch of things. It's really interesting how broadly based this business is. And I want to come back and say, that's what drew me to the Avant Cycle Cafe in the first place. I really like a retail business that's attracting shoppers for more than one reason. If I'm running a bike shop and all I'm doing is selling and servicing bikes, and I might be doing that really, really well, that's a good thing. It's a really good thing. But if I can do something else to attract people in for some other reason, then those people who are attracted for that reason may convert to being bike customers. And people who are coming to look at bikes may convert to being coffee customers, as is the case with Avant. I think in retail today, it's really critical that we're bringing people into our businesses for more than one reason. And, we've grown up in retail, particularly in specialty retail, in very much in small business specialty retail, staying within our lane, being good at this one thing that we do. And while there's nothing wrong with that, the reality is today, those barriers, those borders between our channel and some other channel, those borders are disappearing or have disappeared. And I think coffee and bikes is a good example of that. Bikes and food is a good example of that. Bookshops and coffee are a good example of that. There are many, many examples out in the marketplace. And what I saw at Avant in Lake Geneva, I think is a really good and exciting example. I think that the more we can have people, the more reasons we can give people to come through our front door, the more efficient our business can be. Now, that's a hard thing to manage because how do you be a specialist in this field and also pretty awesome in this field over here? And I think one of the things that is interesting about Avant, and I'll just come back to their photos just really briefly. One of the things that's interesting about Avant to me, I think that they did really well, was the way they represented that from the front of the shop. So you look at the front of the shop and it's a cafe. You step inside and it feels very much like a cafe, but it doesn't take long before you start to see that it's also a bike shop. Both of them coexist. Both of them support each other. Both of them are quite distinct. And what I did notice was that each time I was there, the service staff were staying in the service centre and the cafe staff were staying in the cafe centre. I didn't get a sense that there was much crossover between the two. And I think for their type of business, that's pretty critical, because you don't want your bike being serviced by a barista, and you don't want a bike service technician making your coffee necessarily. And so I think they do it well. I found it inspiring, and I hope that you found it interesting as well. I guess the point that I'd leave you with is that I think in retail today, it's really critical that we attract shoppers for more than one thing, that our businesses are specialists in more than one thing or one category or one segment. And I think it's really important that we are constantly striving to evolve the reasons we bring people into our shops. What they're doing at Avant in Lake Geneva in Wisconsin, I think is really inspiring. I hope that it's inspiring for you. Our job here at Tower Systems is to create awesome point of sale software for a range of specialty retailers. And no, I'm not going to go into a big pitch on it. But what I would say is this: what we do with our software is what I see Avant doing, in the sense that we created our software company many years ago to really service one marketplace. Now we service 13 different marketplaces, and we strive really hard to be specialist for each of those marketplaces, using language that's appropriate to those marketplaces, terms that are appropriate to them, pricing that's appropriate to them, functionality that's appropriate to them. So we're very much living kind of these words for ourselves. And I think for all of us in local small business retail, it's really critical that we do that. So when you have a moment, stand in your shop and just think about why people come through your front door. What is it that is attracting them to your shop? What is it that stands out about your business? What do you stand for? Because back in the day, we would have said, have a unique selling proposition, stand for this one thing. And really today, here we are in 2022, and we're saying it's okay to stand for multiple things, do them well, bring people into your shop for more than just one reason. And I think if you can do that, you'll have a far more efficient and more valuable business. Hopefully, this has been interesting and useful. And hopefully we're able to serve your needs at some point. Thanks for watching.